Hello to all our viewers and podcast listeners. I'm your host, Miles, and this is X Raised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. And if you're here to unlock success strategies, well, you're in the right place because today's guest is someone who knows how to transform objectives into outcomes. Because we've invited the mastermind behind WiT Group, a leading performance based marketing agency that doesn't just talk results, they guarantee them. He's been turning heads in the digital marketing game for over 15 years, fine-tuning the art of inbound marketing, automation, SEO to PPCM, and ROI-driven strategies. He's the go-to strategies for brands looking to scale smartly and sustainably. But beyond the technical jargon, he's the guy who delivers real results by blending creativity with data, a rare and powerful combo in the business world. Buckle up, folks. You're about to get a front row seat to some marketing brilliance. Here's the founder and chief executive officer of WiT Group, Josh Mangum. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the X-Rays community.
Hey, Miles, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for gracing our show to share your journey of building WiT Group, what sets you apart in a highly competitive industry, and how you continue to redefine success for your clients. And every great company starts with a story, and we'd love to hear yours. WiT Group has become a standout in the marketing and advertising space, but let's rewind a bit. What sparked the
Mhm.
idea to start WiT Group, and how did your personal journey shape its mission?
Yeah, so WiT Group was born out of a little bit of desperation. I
Oh,
graduated around the '08 financial crisis, and when I got done with my with school, jobs were not plentiful. It was very difficult to find a place to work. I was even having trouble getting interviews, and so
mhm.
WiT Group was originally at that time WiT Consultancy was a way that I kind of, I guess, found a way to get into an industry that was relatively new or a side of the industry that was new. There was a lot of difficulty finding general marketing jobs, but digital marketing was relatively new back then.
Mhm.
And so the consultancy started by me being self-taught digital marketing from YouTube. I was
Oh,
essentially a YouTube warrior for a couple of weeks
uh,
and taught myself digital marketing. And then I needed to go find clients that could, that I could work with. And so the performance side of our business was actually born out of a need to find clients and the fact that I had no track record or no, I didn't have testimonials or clients or case studies. And
uh,
so the commission based, we will work and you can pay on a results basis, really was born out of the need for me to earn some trust with our clients. And
uh.
so that's how everything was started way back then.
I see. Awesome. From humble, desperate beginnings to performance based greatness. It's just fascinating how aligning personal purpose with business strategy leads to innovation and as big as WiT Group now. You took something you
Mhm.
believe in and turned it into results driven magic. And that brings me to my next question, Josh. In a sea of marketing agencies, what sets WiT Group apart and how do you ensure you consistently deliver measurable results for your clients?
Yeah. So when we launched as a full service agency in 2020, my timing is impeccable, by the way. I graduated school in 2008 and I
Mhm.
launched the full service agency in 2020, which was a bit of
Oh,
a difficult year.
uh,
Because of that, though, we had always kind of maintained this performance oriented approach.
uh,
And it actually positioned us well for clients and prospective clients at that time that were very risk averse. There was a lot of uncertainty, and especially as it came to marketing and sales, businesses were shut down and everybody was working from home. So there was a newfound appreciation for digital advertising, but everyone was risk averse. So the commission based or the performance based advertising firm was positioned pretty well. And so we really leaned hard into that. And so that got us an opportunity to work with a lot of clients, some of which were a little larger than we probably had any business working with at the time. But because of the performance approach, we got a shot at that. And then, with that came the need to prove the efficacy of what we were doing. And so we became very, very, very good at attribution and tracking performance making sure that we were giving credit to the right channels, the right campaigns, and as far down that path, as granular a level as we were able to give credit to leads and new business and sales. We had to do that because we're working on commission. And so we're very data oriented, and we ensure that we know within a very high confidence interval where every lead and every sale and every dollar comes from. And if we do that, then we can make our optimizations around those winning campaigns and those winning ads and those winning efforts. And conversely, we cannot spin our wheels in areas that aren't bearing fruit.
Uh-huh. So pay for performance, Josh. I mean, if you're not confident in what you do, you don't offer that, right?
Right, right. And if you're not good at it, you go out of business. So we've
Right.
been growing at a pretty good clip. So thank goodness I've got a really good team around me. Most of the guys now that I'm hiring are much more technical than I am, which is great because they can solve the problems. I don't have to as much anymore.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it's if you're not confident in what you're doing, it's
Mm-hmm.
not the business for you.
Of course, and that's some kind of level of accountability. But what really caught my attention is how WiT Group blends creativity with strategy, Josh. And marketing is often described as
Yeah,
an art and a science, balancing data-driven strategies with
absolutely.
out-of-the-box creativity. How does WiT Group strike that balance, and how has this approach helped businesses grow and scale successfully?
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you are trying to break through the static in a very saturated market, you get on Facebook or you do Google searches or any social network, and you're bombarded with advertising and brand videos and
Mm-hmm.
statements, and there's a lot.
Too
There's a lot
much.
to digest, and so people have learned to kind of thumb through that and scroll through that type of information, unless you do stand out. So. I
Mm-hmm.
think for a while there, for about 6 or 7 years, especially when it came to digital advertising, a lot of agencies were very data focused, and the data, that focus was very important at one point because we didn't used to have that data. 30 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, we didn't have all this information, so the data oriented approach was very important. But now everybody has that access.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can read analytics and anybody can do A/B testing and everybody can really get that information that used to not be available. So now you have to marry that with the creative. So this kind of the return of the creative agency. If your creative is not engaging, it's not unique, it doesn't pop right, then you're still gonna get lost in the shuffle with all these other advertisements, even with that focus on data. Um, a well-run campaign that has
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's very data oriented but isn't able to work with good creative is going to lose to that other combination, that cohort of good data use, good A/B testing, and very good creative, eye-catching graphics, very impressive videos that get the message across efficiently and quickly and share that value proposition,
Mm-hmm.
in an effective way. If you have that and you combine that with the data, then you're going to have a winning campaign. You're going to stand out.
Yeah, I agree. There are too many factors involved and too much creativity without strategy, and you're just, shouting into the void. I mean, too much
Yeah.
strategy without creativity, it gets ignored and no one listens. And you guys clearly know how to hit that sweet spot. So let's talk about driving results, Josh, because in a competitive
Mhm.
space like digital marketing, results are everything. So can you share a recent example of a campaign or maybe a project where WiT Group exceeded client expectations and delivered results that made you proud?
Yeah. And I'm going to say something that's almost contentious with what I just said, but I'll explain why. So a lot of times we're engaged in growth hacking. So we had a very startup business.
Mm-hmm.
They were in their first 6 months of existence. They were doing well. They do really, really good work. It's garage epoxy. And this is a small local business, and they're making a name for themselves in the Charlotte market. But they didn't have a good inbound lead system. They had a website, and they were really beating the bushes, networking and out there in the business community. But they didn't have a steady, reliable stream of leads. And so, we were able to develop that for them. And looking at the type of business they had, we knew it was very image centric, but they had great imagery on their website. They had good before and afters. very good service pages that explained what the service they were able to provide. But we just needed to connect folks that were looking for that type of service with that
Mhm.
website, that they had a website that would convert. And so we focused most of our attention on search advertising and some other more typical lead generation tactics. And then once we did that and we connected folks with the website, we started to see the leads come through. The leads, of course,
Mm.
turned into business. Business turned into increased revenues for the website, or
Right.
sorry, for the company. And so now the focus is returned back to developing creative, developing ad videos, doing some brand videos for the client, enhancing their branding efforts, their collateral. All of that came second because we needed to get the ball rolling with the inbound lead generation. And so in a lot of cases, sometimes we're focused on the lead generation side of things and the creative comes second. Sometimes the creative is part of the lead generation process. Just depends on the type of company. But in this case, I think we've increased. I think the numbers are so silly, I won't even mention them. It's at least a 10x return over what they
Yeah.
were doing prior. And so now we're getting to do bigger and better projects for them where we're growing their brand holistically.
Yeah, so not only for the client, but also for your team. You're like the
Mhm.
marketing version of a personal trainer. No shortcuts, no excuses, just measurable growth. And that's a pretty good example. So before you leave our show, Josh, let's
Yeah.
take a look at the road ahead. What's next for WiT Group? Are there any new initiatives, exciting services, or big goals you're working on that you can share with us?
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty exciting year for us. We are opening up new offices in three different markets: Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, which we've always been from there, but we're
Wow.
looking at new office space, and then Kannapolis, North Carolina. We have we have a sister company, we can call it WiT Craft, which is a podcast studio. And
I
so we
see.
saw a lot of initial success with that just in the last couple of months of the year. And we're going to be opening up a podcast studio in all of those markets. We already have one in Columbia, South Carolina. So we think podcast, marketing, they go together. We're encouraging all of our clients to do their own podcast and to do some video editing. And now we have studio space that we can do that in-house, which is pretty exciting.
Uh-huh. Well, more offices and a podcast, a very holistic approach indeed. Well, sign me up for whatever you're cooking next, Josh. Whether,
Okay.
whether it's the new office or new strategies or just doubling down on delivering results, it's clear the future is looking bright for you guys. So thank you so much for your time, Josh.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me.
So that's pretty much it for now, guys. I know it may not be enough. So if you want to connect with Josh or explore how WiT Group can help your business scale, head over to witgroupagency.com. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of X Raised. If you found value in today's conversation, and let's be honest, how could you not? With all the information that Josh shared, there's so much to learn. So make sure to share this episode and keep spreading the knowledge. Until our next one. This has been your host, Myles. Stay focused and inspired with X Raised.